We have some 20,000 people there for the bio conference, and our former member Jim Greenwood leading that effort. And it was amazing to hear some of the experts talk about how far we are along the way in terms of cancer. I mean, the real belief that we can beat cancer, and the other work that was being discussed, I sat with a doctor who did the first hand transplant. He's out in Louisville, Kentucky. It was just amazing. There's a lot of this is at the base of it is the investments made by this subcommittee at NIH, and we know about the efforts around eyesight that is this audacious initiative around vision that's being done at NIH. But I want to commend the chairman for the increase for NIH, and particular for the investments in the brain initiative, which I've been championing, and the historic investment in Alzheimer's at $300 million. And I want to thank you. This is before I get to the things I have a problem with.
I thought there was going to be a punch.
And I want to thank you.
I feel like I'm sort of getting set up here. But
and I have to thank you for as the chairman, the big chairman mentioned, the 7% increase in Gear Up and TRIO programs, which I know that you share and have always shared as one of the original co-sponsors of Gear Up, the interest in getting young people headed in the right direction. I offer this amendment. This amendment would focus on Title I funding. It would take it up to the president's request level. And I know that's problematic within the allocation, but what would be missed without this additional $1 billion is some 3,600 schools. Title I is our baseline of effort to help children and throughout the country, and it's done a tremendous job. We need to make this additional investment, and there are two other programs that we like to bring up to the president's level: teacher quality and also English acquisition. We know for people to be successful in this country, mastering English is a critical linchpin to that success. So my amendment would take it to the president's request level, and as with the other amendments, it may not have the majority of the votes today, but these are important points for us to raise. It's just like some of the policy riders may not survive the final bill, because the president may not be willing to sign such things like to get rid of the Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. But it's important that we make these points, and I appreciate the fact that you created a process in which we can do that, because we would have made different choices if we were in the majority. We would have been hamstrung by the allocation, notwithstanding whatever choices, because a lot of the programs in this bill, we could all make, on either side of our arguments, for more investments in them. But without a more robust allocation, we won't be able to do it. And the final point is that means a lot of people won't get the help that they could have gotten. They won't live the lives they could have led. And this committee, even though we're doing remarkable things, will have missed the opportunity to make even more of an impact on our country. So I'd ask for support for my amendment.
Gentlemen, the chair recognizes himself to respond to the gentleman's amendment. First, let me acknowledge up front that very unlikely that something called Obamacare is going to be fully repealed while a guy named President Obama is President of the United States. It seems axiomatic, but we have strong objections to that program, and not a single Republican voted for a reason, so I suspect we'll continue to disagree on that. That issue aside, the rest of the points that my friend from Pennsylvania makes, I find myself in very broad, sincere and deep agreement with. You've been a leader in Gear Up. You've been a leader before you ever got to this particular subcommittee on the issues that this subcommittee focuses on, and the chair is very mindful of that, very appreciative of the insight that you brought and the passion and commitment on these issues. And frankly, let me just say broadly, that's true for every member around this table. I really feel very strongly that both our chairman and our ranking member have given us an exceptional committee. And while we have deep and sharp differences on some issues, there's certainly some commonality that I've seen emerge during the hearing, and I think probably will emerge over the legislative process. and the areas that my friend lays out, just as my friend from Connecticut laid out in terms of early childhood and education, I think those things are exceptionally important. I think those are areas where I would frankly like to be closer to the president's number than we are in this particular mark. But again, we live within the 302B allocation we have. We've tried to move toward the president where we can. A few cases we've been able to go beyond the president. I bet you he would like to go to our numbers in a few of these cases too, but he too has a set of numbers he has to live within. So I recognize that, but that's why we have a legislative process and you know, a three-legged stool here between the House, the Senate, and ultimately the president. So along the way, I don't have any illusions that our particular mark came down, you know, from Mount Sinai. It may well change over the course of the process, and we may well find some more common ground, which I would hope to do